Welcome back to Classic DM, Episode 7, The Infinity Chain. Let's catch us up where we were last time and where we are today and what's going to be happening next. As y'all remember, we're in the steading of the Hill Giant Chief, and this is Episode 7, and our party's done a lot of stuff over the last week or so. And one of the main plot points you should remember is that the whole party, which is a combination of 4 Tiger Nomad siblings and 3 siblings from Ket, they're trying to find this abducted royal child of the House of Ket, which they traced all the way down to the steading of the Hill Giant Chief. And from there, they pretty much have wiped most of the place out. They entered to the side. They came in the southeastern corner of the facility. Let's pull up the player map real quick, and we'll walk you through what they've done so far, and then we'll go through the whole party again and give you introductions. So let's just pull that up real quick. Let's take a look at this. We'll zoom this out in a minute. I'm just going to give you a quick little walkthrough over the player version of the map. If you're a player at my table, I make you map your own stuff, okay? So this is what, say you drew your own map, this is what you got to work with. So the party worked their way at night during a heavy, nasty rainstorm. They pushed open this front door here. This is a large guard area. These guards were drunk and sleeping, and there's sounds of a loud feast happening in this great hall. They wiped everything out here without breaking stealth, dumped the bodies out the window of the second floor tower, and they started stealthily going into this area here, bypassing this door. They went into this room here, which lots of young hill giants that were wrestling and rough and tumble and having fun. They slaughtered that entire area without remorse. Then they worked their way into this area where there was a number of hill giants drunk and sleeping after feasting, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. So they wiped this barracks out here, and Elefanici had an infamous chin bust on a bed railing. And then they backtracked back down here, down to this room here where the sub-chief and his wife were sleeping, and it was about 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Killed them. I think it's episode 3 or 4. I can't remember the exact number now. But the sub chief, she had a heroic failure slamming into her own vanity. Very fun stuff. Flub is a cool rule I like to use to add a lot of flavor. So you should go back and check that one out. It's for fun. Then they worked their way up this way, and they came into here where a bunch of nursemaid type female giants were with an old crone was their leader. And the fight in here was pretty quick, but it made a ton of noise. And some visiting stone giants had come into this large great hall here to talk about what they're doing here and what's going to happen next. They heard all this noise. They came barreling down the hallway. The druid pulled out an epic wild horses summoning spell, which helped push them back into this corridor. More hill giants poured in from this way and this way. And it was a really, really, really nasty fight at this T intersection right here. Once everything was dead, they went back to the door here and still sound like there's a lot of revelry and drinking and slamming on tables and fun in the great hall, the big nasty loud fire pit, and it didn't really alert everyone else. So the overall alarm in the whole place wasn't really raised. The combination of it being a really, really heavy rainstorm, lots of sleet and stuff like that going on, the noise happening in this area echoing, seemed to cover most of the sounds here. The party went into this area here, and they rifled through the bags of the stone giants, and they found some interesting clues. One of the clues that they found early on was this map. Let's see if I can show this to you one more time. So they found this map. The Tiger Nomads grew up in a region far to the north, and they recognized this location as being the glacial rift of the frost giant Jarl. So if you remember one more time, we'll go back in time just a little bit more. I won't do too much recap. I'm almost done. So if you look at this area up here, my cursor's kind of moving around. This is the Yatel Mountains. And this hill giant fortress is here, and this is Ket, and up here is the Tiger Nomads. The Tiger Nomads, this glacial rift area that I was showing you here on the cam view, which is marked with this Drow symbol here for House El Sev, and a bunch of pathways of how to get through the mountains to get here, and a bunch of Drow writing and notations on it. They took that information to heart and said, listen, the frost giants were notorious for raiding the frozen version of Lake Quag, which is here, just right here with my mouse cursor on the right side to the east. They didn't really bother about these frost giants in the past, but it seems like they're related to the plot, because in the very beginning, one of the very early clues that they got when they discovered the location of this fortress, where they found a dead Drow elf. And so everything seems to be connecting to Drow, right? Now, after doing that space, they worked in this room right here, pilfered this whole area, found some more information. Then they worked themselves into this great hall. So, no more fooling around, no more joking around. Massive, nasty, long 2-hour fight happened in this area here, where there was like a visiting cloud giant, which is really unusual. The hill giant chief himself and his wife, Chief Nosra was his name. Tons of ogres, tons of hill giants, tons of lackeys, very nasty area effect, ice storm, all kinds of monkey business happening here. Really dramatic fight. They were able to wipe everything out, take minimal damage. Once that was done, they explored down to this area, and they found into this room here was a series of armories. These two areas like armories with swords and shields and armor and things of that nature, and there was tons of orc rebels who weren't slaves. They weren't like orcs running around with nothing but a loincloth on. These are guys that had equipped themselves with some armor and weapons. They were hiding in this area, hoping that the party wouldn't find them. So the party engaged, but the moment that happened, they tried hightailing it out here. A lot of them escaped and went out the door and ran out the front door. The party wiped out most of them relatively handily, and then they came into this area here. And as you may remember, there was a big decision made way back in episode 3 or 4. I can't remember the exact one, but they realized the hill giant, there's a lot more parties involved than just hill giants and some drow. The drow wouldn't be associated with hill giants except as muscle and meatheads. So with there being a cloud giant, and then there's being some storm giants, and all the information they had, and the picture of this map and the other information they found, they were searching, decided to not try to go ahead 1,200 some odd miles up into the Yato Mountains to head them off because they think this child's being moved. They said, let's keep searching the whole area and get some more definitive clues. So they've killed the leadership of most of the military strength of this great hall, but they need to know, where's this cloud giant staying? So after chasing the orcs off, they worked their way down this corridor here, came into a room here, and had more orc rebels, and a couple of ogres, which they wiped out handily. It's almost like all the fighting here made a lot of people bunker up and hide, but didn't leave the facility because they know there's maybe more help that may come back. So they were going to kind of sit in reserve. They came into this guest chamber here. Now, in the guest chamber, they found some very interesting things as well. Let me just pull that up for you here and show it to you in my super mega awesome Dungeon Master book, right? Where's our cool picture here we have of that? So they found this letter, okay? Let's see if we can put this up here for you. So another letter, once again, with some of the same interesting information. So you got the House El Serve symbol, this letter E. It's almost like a signature. These parchments are like a black translucent vellum with silvery writing on it. So you have Drow writing, this strange symbol here, something underlined, a bunch of other symbols here with figures almost holding something up, and the Sprite or Queen Lolth symbols at the bottom. So what they deduced, and they figured out at the end of the last episode, you should go back and check that one, it's really fun, that this meant to do not harm the child, and that these symbols down here of individual Drow elves holding up something to sacrifice almost makes them think that they're going to sacrifice the child, which they're calling the prophesied one, to Lolth and gain favor with the House El Serve. They may put them to position number 1 in all the Drow houses. If you ever read the Dritz Duerden books, you all know how important it is to be number 1 in that community. But this here, this symbol for infinity is this magical black obsidian chain, and it said use infinity chain. So today's episode is going to follow up on this, and they deduced from the information from that and the information about the location of the Frost Giant Jarl map that the child's being moved here to perhaps even go deeper underground to try to connect to the Underdark. Now, Underdark is typically a Forgotten Realms terminology, so I don't know what we actually call it in Greyhawk, but let's just call it the Underdark for now, okay? So with that in mind, the party hightailed it quickly, decided not to, they realized they were just mopping up the corridors with chumps, right? This is just trash that's ran away. They've hightailed it back through here, back through this area here, all the way back around to this large chief meeting chamber here, because when they were in this area earlier, they found a secret door and a set of stairs that lead down to a dungeon level. So that's a quick recap. Let's take a look at our party where they are right now, and we'll adjust this view so you can see better. So the party's all healed up, everyone's all got their spells back, all that kind of stuff I always assume has happened between the last episode and the episode you're on now. I'm not super hardcore with that because we're trying to make this almost like a television show. We're not really trying to make this some hardcore play session where you sit around for 45 minutes and wait to recover. And I'm going to zip out this webcam view so you can see the room a little bit better. Let's do it like that for now. And I'll pop you in one notch. There we go. All right. We won't be here long. So, quick introduction for folks who don't remember, are tuning in late, or just decided out of the blue to see this week's episode. This party is made up of 4 siblings of the Tiger Nomads, and 3, which means brothers and sisters, and 3 siblings from Ket. So first is Mercedes. Mercedes is a 2-handed fighter warrior from Ket. She's pretty much the outspoken, confident leader of the entire foray. Getting the child back is her number 1 priority. She feels it's her personal responsibility to do this because she's the older sister of Aiden, who's the father of the child. The second member of the party we have is a tiger nomad warrior named Zolaris. Zolaris has been very quiet. He wields a really nasty two-handed glaive that has flame enchantment on the end of it. We call it a burning glaive. He just is muscle and meat. He's not this 1850 strength, super powerful character. He's more of a finesse fighter, but he doesn't have high dexterity. He doesn't have a high constitution or anything. So he just provides incredible, consistent damage output. So this is Mercedes, who's the leader, always in the middle. And then you have Zolaris, who's always up in the front lines with her anytime there's a nasty fight happening. Now, the youngest of the Tiger Nomads is Eliphanisi. Eliphanisi is a level 10 monk. She's a fantastic stun machine, but she flubs a lot. So she makes lots of mistakes. Not stupid mistakes, but she tries to pull off some dramatic, agility-oriented types of moves sometimes. A lot of times her rolls have been bad. And that's just the way that it goes. You got to keep things on the up and up and the honest to keep things square. We don't want to cheat. So I'm trying to these characters are being run as honestly as humanly possible. So Eliphanisi's heart means well, and her thieving skills, which are on par with her older brother, who's a level 10 assassin. Let's just take a look at him, he's a killing machine. Varinjar's nasty. Varinjar's huge, tall. He's like 6'10". He has 1848 strength. His whole bone structure is just almost giant-like in of itself. He wields two really nasty enchanted black axes. He uses a lot of hiding shadows, moving silently, get in position, and just destroy something from behind. At his level, at level 10, his backstabs are quad damage, which are really nasty. I had a feedback from someone saying, how come you don't use assassination as much? And we can talk about that and maybe in the recap at the end of the week. But I've always been a much bigger fan of the quad damage method as opposed to the assassination, because the assassination rules in first edition, in my opinion, are kind of like in Assassin's Creed or Elder Scrolls Online, the Dark Brotherhood. They're designed for you to try to one-shot kill someone of any hit point level in the hallway like a murder. So I don't use the assassination rules as in combat while someone's aware and dancing around. So to get on with it, we got to introduce the rest of our party. We've got three more to go, excuse me. Another sister of the Tiger Nomad is Felcherna, which means little wolf. Felcherna is your typical druid. All these animal skins. She made animal friendship with the cave bear earlier on. She does remain true to the druidic way. She's very neutral in the sense that she's not going against the grain with the bossy leadership of Mercedes. She realizes that these people come from a different world than her siblings. She will always be close to her siblings, and since her younger sister, Eliphanisi's, has made a lot of mistakes, you'll find that she's always positioned close to her, okay? And almost in some ways, she's going to be, I'm here if you need me. If you get in trouble, I'll heal you. That has happened once in the past. Now, for the Ket side, we have this very heavily armored, very stoic, consistently wise, very knowledgeable cleric. Good old-fashioned first edition cleric. He uses a nasty flail and a nasty kite shield. Hardly ever takes any damage. Great healing spells. Really comes in handy with solving some of the scholarly elements of the storyline, deciphering language and things of that nature. And paired up with his younger sister, who's in her mid-20s at the most, is the illusionist Obscura. Obscura is also extremely reserved. She waits until the absolute right opportunity to do something. You will not see Obscura blasting a bunch of spells, but when she casts an illusion, for example, in the big nasty battle that we had in the Great Hall, she was able to pull out a Drow priestess illusion that terrified an entire group. So she keeps her weapons and her toolbox until they really need to be used. So she's not firing off machine gun rounds all the time. So the party's gathered in this room. The fire's still burning in here. And as always, these little symbols here always represent little torches on the wall, right? So we got a fire burning. Now the sun is coming up now. We've been playing, they've been infiltrated after midnight. The sun's coming up, but they're all about to wake their way down. So let's get into the gameplay. You ready? That's good enough for the recaps. And what we'll do right off the bat is Varinjar is going to hide in shadows, move silently, and go down here. You may remember that this thing here last time, there was a shield on the wall with a hinge on it, and it was actually a secret door by this dragon head on the wall. So we've discussed what they're going to do. The plan is to go find the child. Is the child here? And they're going to go down to this dungeon level. So let's do a move silently and hide in shadows check. In fact, to keep it simple, we'll do it simultaneously. Let's move silently with the purple, right? So that's 3, very easily done. And hide in shadows, I believe for him is 68, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 68. So he's completely hidden and completely obscured. Now, I don't want to be too much of a rules nut about it, but in this kind of situation where there's nothing really at bay down here, he's just going to very quickly slip down here. Eliphanisi's going to do the same thing. Let's give her 2 rolls. Let's do her move silently roll. 70 that's a fail, and a 73 that's a fail. So she thinks she's moving silently, and she thinks that she's hidden in shadows, but she's not. If someone was really attempting to listen for her, they would hear her, but she stays back. She's letting Vrinjar head the way. And from here, you would have Mercedes, because she's more interested in seeing what's going on. She's going to get in the doorway, take a step in. The Druid will be right behind her, make sure her little sister's okay. And Tola and Obscura will be behind. And Zalars are going to mop up the rear, make sure everything's okay. So what we're going to do, they're going to work their way down these steps and go down to this lower level. Now, one thing they noticed almost right away is the workmanship and the architecture as they go down changes. It doesn't change to anything excessively dramatic, okay? But what we go into is a lot of hewn stonework that's been cut and carved. The workmanship is dwarven. Some areas have workmanship that seem kind of chiselly and loose, and we have a lot of arches and buttresses. So arches are not hard to build for people like you and me, but for hill giants, that's not something they're going to excel at. So let me give you a quick little dirty sketch of what we're talking about here, just for fun. You can see down here, right? So let's just say this is a 10-foot wide passageway, and this is the ground plane here. Here's the ground plane. So at the 10-foot mark, and then you have these arches, and they're buttressed, so they have this support that goes out like this, and little columns that stick out. And you got your big goofy hill giant. He's about this big fat hill giant with his little cloth armor on, or leather skins. He's got his big club over his shoulder. So there's your little idea about the height. So for a human character, okay, a 6-foot tall human character is going to be about here, okay? And as always, the torch braziers are always being mounted on the wall, which is what I use this symbol here for. So you may see me draw a lot of torch stuff. So that's what we're talking about for a 10-foot wide passageway. So smoke kind of billows and gets stuck up here and kind of channels along. So every 10 feet, you're getting this buttress type structure. Now, if you're playing a first-person shooter, it might be enough of an object for you to kind of lean behind, but you can't obscure your whole body. So there's not really enough room to hide behind one of these things. They only stick out about 12 inches. So that's the kind of architecture we're seeing. So as they work their way downstairs, we're going to switch to the other map. So let me pull the kids off the screen here, and let's just switch maps for you real quick. Now, there's something I want to note. The way the stairs are laid out in the original module, and I'm going to adjust the camera here in a second. The way the stairs are laid out in the original module, okay, they don't articulate how the turn happens. And if you've ever been a stairwell before in a parking garage or even an office building, you know that stairs go down and they'll take a turn. So I'm use my architectural liberty here to define the direction of the dungeon a little differently than they have it in the original module. What they did in the original module is they have map facing this way, map facing this way. In fact, we could just show it to you real quick for fun, right? So you have, you know, a map on a piece of paper facing up, and then you have another map on a piece of paper facing up, and north is to the top. But in this situation, they didn't articulate how the stairs change. So what I decided to do is shift it. So this is going to be that north is still going to be the direction you see here, okay? But we're going to keep that top for you. Sorry, it seems a little disorienting, but I want to keep north to the top for your video screen. So we got a bigger map here. There we go. So if Vrinjar goes down, the stairs go down. They turn once, they turn twice, and he comes down at the bottom of the steps, and there's a torch burning here. And down the hallway, you can see there's another torch burning here. So you got 2 torches burning. This smoke's going up this way. So the rest of the group, he's still moving in shadows, moving silently. He's going to go down to here and take a peek at what he sees here. Now, what does he see? And we're going to put Elphanisi arrives about here, and then we're going to have the rest of the group slowly but surely going to come down to the bottom of the steps because it seems like the coast is clear. Okay, let's get Elphanisi over here. Obscura will be in the back. We'll keep the Druid here. Mercedes will move forward because she wants to be in the close to the front as possible. So the party's kind of going down a set of steps. It's gone twice and turned this way. So remember, north is to the top always for you. So Vrinjar sees this highly polished panel door here, and then we got these typical hill giant shields hanging on the wall. Now, Vrinjar has seen this trick before. You may remember an episode a number of episodes ago, actually, at this point. There was a number of situations where a secret door, like this one right here, was hidden behind a shield. And in fact, the entrance to these stairs is behind a secret door. Now what I like to do for this kind of stuff is just give them a 3d6 check against their #1 stat. Okay, it's not like they're dungeon builders or dwarves or something, and I don't want to just do a standard old search or anything like that. So his #1 class range and stats is 17, so 17 or less, he'll detect what's in this area. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he notices obviously that this is a door that hinges and swings in. He sees the hinges. He also notices that this shield here is on a wood panel. It's not on a stone panel, so this is not a wall, and this might move. He's going to do a find and remove traps check just to make absolutely sure that this, let's get that turned back in there like that. Find and remove traps check just to make sure. We'll put this like this so we don't knock that over. And his FRT is what? 65%. So in this situation, he's checking this wall to make sure there's no traps in it. By the time he's done that, Elphanesi's moved here, and Mercedes here as well. The Druid's here, and here's the Cleric, and here's Zoller's kind of in the back with Obscura. He's actually going to take the rear guard for her. So final retrieve traps for him is 65%. That's a 14. Easily checks. There's no major traps. The mechanism is you push this door in, and it clicks, and then a hinge will swing in that way. So he whispers to everyone else, and she's like, Elphanesi goes here, ask her the decision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little charisma roll. This charisma roll is going to be do what I want to do for Mercedes, or do what the assassin suggests, which means she's probably going to do what she wants to do. She's 17 charisma, but I think she's interested in this door. Okay, this door is more opulent, it's more interesting. This one tried to be concealed. So in her mind, something more opulent means related to leadership, related to Chief Nosra, perhaps even related to the Drow connection. So in her mind, going behind this door and checking it is more important than finding what's behind the secret passage. So 17 or less, she does what she wants. Okay, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these kind of command decisions aren't in the rule book, but I like to do this to mix up because I'm running this, I'm running everyone. So she says, no, don't open it just yet. Let's check the other door. And Elphanesi's like, I'll check it. She's right there. There's no reason for Vrinjar to switch positions. So let's just do a little find remove traps for her. She's also 65%. The rolls are basically the same for both of them. She has the same skills as a level 10 assassin. So 65% less, she'll detect any kind of traps or the mechanism of this. So this is 67. 67, that's right on the nose, isn't it? Oh, it's 65. She barely misses that one. So she doesn't think there's any traps, but she realizes how the mechanism works. Just basically a handle. You turn the handle, push it in, and cock it back, and then push it open. It's on a hinge. So Mercedes just gives her the nod, so she just opens this door. So here's what we're going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this map up for you and reposition everyone as opposed to completely replacing the map because the next room isn't that big. So bear with me while I shuffle that around for you. And let's get these kids off screen. So here's what we're going to do. So you need to see to about here. And you need to see about here. Let's try to get that on the grid for you too. That's pretty decent. And let's put everyone back where they were. Okay. So we had Zoller's taking up the rear. We have the Druid in the hallway. Elphanesi pushed the door open. This door actually swings in. There's the handle. This door swings in like this, so she swings it in. And she feels like a stick can hit against this little shield, but she prevents it from busting open. Obscura is here. Got this torch burning in the corridor, filling it with smoke. Here's the rest of the family. Vrinjar's here at this trap door, not trap door, but this door. And here's Mercedes. And then Tola's in the middle. So she opens this door up. So we're going to do a check here. I'm the DM. I'm going to say, roll your dex or less right now on the spot. It's like, what for? Nope, do it. Just do it. Roll your dex or less. It's just a dexterity check. So for her dexterity is 17. 3d6, no disadvantage. Just 17 or less right now on the spot. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. So she easily does this. She takes one step forward. She opens the door, and she feels the floor kind of go and bend down like some kind of trap door, and she like lifts her foot back up. So she doesn't have any armor. She hasn't lost her balance. It's pretty low roll, and she goes, "Wait a minute." And Mercedes like, "Wait, be careful." And then Vrinjar comes rushing and says, "Let me check this." She's like, "Whoa, that could be a trap. Let's check that." So Vrinjar wants to check for traps, but Elphanesi wants to try first. Let's give her a roll. She's going to find and remove traps. Her chance, I believe, is 65%. Let's give her a roll first. 75. She doesn't think it's a trap. She just thinks it's a trap door. So she doesn't think there's spikes that would shoot out from the wall, doesn't see any kind of flame emitter or anything like that, but she thinks that she thinks it's just a regular mechanism. Vrindar wants to check. In order to do that, they got to switch places. So he comes forward. 65. That's right on the money, isn't it? Let's be absolutely legit and honest with that roll. 65, FRT. Yes. He says, this is a trap door. It's a pit. There's spikes below. And she's like, oh, really? Mercedes like, can you trigger it? Can you push it down? He's like, it might make a bunch of noise. She's like, well, what can we do? He says, it looks like it's about a trap door on the floor like this. And it has a seam in the middle. This will give you a little fun side sketch over here. So here you are, walk on the ground, and then you got this pit, 10-foot deep pit. And it's got these trap door. It's like weight triggered, basic spring-loaded trap door. So here's you, intrepid adventurer, with all your gear and your confidence, and you take a step on this thing, and you're not looking where you're going, you're looking around over this way, and you're like, hey, check it out, there's stuff on the wall, there's a bear rug on the ground with a bunch of jaguar scans. So you're distracted, you're not paying attention, you step on this thing, these things swing down and you fall. So it's about a 10-foot deep pit, and at the bottom are a bunch of spikes, big, heavy, thick, big spikes, almost as if the trap was designed to catch giants as opposed to catch people. You might even fall down here and not even land on a spike. So, but Vrindar is able to see this, so he's like, well, give me another find remove trap roll, and I'll try to be able to disable this so it doesn't work. So what he's going to do, he says, I'm going to try to push this down until it clicks in place, and I'm going to jam something in the hinge and pull the hinge out so this just falls away. So I'm going to make him do a find and remove traps roll again, 65% or less for him to do his little plan at 11. So what he does, look at our silly little sketch here, is he pushes this down with his weight until it clicks in place, and then jams it in place with like a dagger, and then pulls the pins out, so this trap door just kind of falls away into the ground, into the pit below. And now then he does that, and then he leaps to the other side. I'm going to give him a dex roll for that. He'll be able to do that easily with 17 dex. But you never know. 9, come on, stop rolling. 9 and 3 is 12. So he easily just hops over the other side, does the same technique on the other one. I'm not going to make him roll for the other side. It's just one roll. So now there's no door. And all everyone needs to do is just make a hop across here. So he's on this side. Elefantisi's like, I can come over, no problem, 17 or less. 6 and 6 is 12, and 1 is 13, so she hops over. He comes in the room, he immediately starts checking for traps, and so does she. Let's do their rolls before they do anything else, okay? 65%, right? Elefantisi is 86, she doesn't see anything. I'm going to give her a 1 step, and we'll check and see if she triggered anything. And 51, and he doesn't see any traps in this area at all. He checks the whole area very carefully and doesn't find any traps at all. Mercedes like, and Elefantisi comes, there's nothing really here. The Drew's like, what should we do? Everyone's going to move on down forward. And there's a bunch of chests, and there's some urns in here, and all kinds of stuff in here. Let me just check my notes of what's actually all in this room. Never can have enough biplane, airplane sounds in the background. Hopefully that's not being picked up by the microphone. So let's see, what area are we at here? Okay, this is area 33 if you know your module really well. You can follow along with your own DM guide if you want to. You can see the modifications I made. So in this room is all kinds of cool stuff. And I got some notes here in my book. Let's just go through that real quick. So there's a really large chest. This is the one that Vrindar is standing right in front of. There's a really, really huge chest. You can see I even have the pit trap made notes here. I don't cheat. Really large chest here. So here's a huge chest, and this is urns and urns. There's a couple swords propped against the wall, the spear and a quiver of arrows in the corner. Something about this area looks weird, but it looks like whatever it was isn't really concealed anymore. There's an iron box that's locked here, and there's a couple little casks, look like watertight casks in here. Then you got a table with a bunch of writing utensils and a torch over it. And this torch is burned out. There's nothing here. There's no light in this room at all. Completely pitch black. The only light source is this torch back in this hallway, and it's just casting enough faint light to maybe illuminate to about here. When you first come in the room, you're like, oh my goodness, what's that on the ground? It's just a snow leopard skin. So Mercedes like, see if you can open up the chest and see what's inside, but she wants to come in. So we're going to have her take a skip. Now, all you got to do is just take a big step, right? When you know what you're doing, you see a hole below you. A 10-foot step isn't that big of a deal, okay? It's from the free throw line to the basketball goal tip is 15, so it's not that big. It does take an effort, so she's going to take a step back and run and just jump and land. So I'm just going to make her do a basic dex roll, okay? Since she's wearing such heavy armor, okay, I'm going to make her actually do what I would call a disadvantage, which is with a d20. The reason why I call it a disadvantage is that the odds of rolling your statistics or less on 3d6 are really, really good, especially when you have a high statistics such as she does. Her dexterity is 15, but on a d20, there's an extra 2 digits in there, so the average is a little higher. So she needs to roll 15 or less on a d20. Well, 17. So I'm going to have her do, she loses her balance. Let's give her a good old straightforward dex check one more time to see if she falls in the pit or does she fall forward, right? So 15 or less means she falls forward. 15 or less means she falls back into the pit. Excuse me, 15 or less she falls forward. 15 or higher she falls less into the pit. There you go. So she stumbles and loses her balance and then is able to grab the wall and fall forward. So everyone else back here is just like, ugh, watching that. The druid's just like going to go run and just take a skip right over this. I'm not even going to do a check with her. And the reason why I won't do that, because if you're a druid and you can pass without trace and you can move through the environment and you have that level of agility, I'm not even going to make a roll for you. She's not heavily armored. She's not wearing plate mail. She's not got any solarettes on. I'm not even going to make a check for her. Let's go back and do Vrenjar on this first chest. It has a lock on it. Let's see if he can pick it. So he's the only person in the whole group that can pick a lock. And this kind of lock mechanism is open locks is 77% for him. COL. So you have PP for pickpockets, and then open locks is 77. He's just going to try to pick it, and I'm going to give him a bonus of 20%. So 97% or less. Okay. So 37. He easily goes click and opens this lock up, so he can open this chest. So this chest is open. The assassin doesn't know how to do that. She does have the skills of doing that kind of stuff, if I'm not mistaken. Let's be 100% sure with her. Yep, she has open locks to 77, so we're going to go ahead and have her come over here and try to open this lock. And Mercedes catching her breath and brushing herself off, and she'll take a step into the room, and she's immediately drawn to this table that has a map or something on it. The druid's going to come in the room and see this dead snow leopard skin, and just like, it just confirms her disgust of these hill giants and the things they think are worth having as trophies. And then on the wall over here, I don't know if you noticed this as well, there's another polar bear skin. So Chief Nosra has an affinity for killing winter animals. So we've got other people on this side. The cleric's like, nope, I'm not making a jump. Obscura's nope, I'm not making a jump. And Zal's just going to kind of watch the stairs. So Obscura, everyone else wants to see what's happening in the room, but it's kind of dark and no one can see real well. And she's like, Obscura, can you give us some light? So Obscura's like, I could maybe do something for you, but why don't we just bring a torch over? And so Antilla's like, listen, let's just give you a torch. So he grabs a torch off the wall, reaches up and grabs it, and kind of tosses over the druid. She'll catch it easily in her hand, and then she have a torchlight in here, so now they can see the whole room pretty well lit. So what do we have in these chests? Let's just double check our reference here. So in this first chest here, and we're going to write this out for you. We'll call this chest equals, it's about 25,000 gold pieces. That's a lot. That's a lot of gold. But remember, that's not what they're here for. They're not here to run around and carry 250 pounds worth of gold coins with them. What they're here to do is find their nieces, the abducted child. Where is the abducted child? Vrenjar puffles through this chest some more. He also finds a number of gems that he's not really that interested in either. Well, maybe some pieces of jewelry. They're worth maybe about 500 GP each. Just a bunch of jewelry. It's just a cache of greed. So for him, he's not even interested in that. And Mercedes isn't interested either. But she's more interested in what's going on with this desk. And what she finds at the desk is very interesting. But it just confirms further what she suspected all along. She finds another copy of this letter. Let's get the letter out for you. Where is that letter? I got a bookmark for you here, don't I? Here it is. She finds another copy of the letter, right? But this time, this stuff here is, these drawings here are much more clear. It's like you can tell these are Drow female priestesses holding an infant, and not one infant, but two. And the instructions say exactly what to do, and it says to do this. And that's where Tom says, is that one of those things? She says, yes, it is. Can you come take a look and read it? He said, just bring it to me. So she grabs this letter, once again, walks over to here and tosses it to him. He grabs it, reads it, and he says, this says infinity chain. It says use infinity chain. And she said, what does that mean? And Obscura's like, maybe it's some kind of way of if we can find this chain, maybe we can figure out what to do with it. So Mercedes going to check this other box in the meantime while they're chatting about this letter and what it actually has to say. So let's see what she's got here. So in this other chest, she pulls out a map. She's like, wait a minute, I think I found a map. I'm like, oh my goodness, are you serious? And the Druid comes and takes a look, and she says, it's a map to the glacial rift yet again, but it details out what's inside of most of the caverns. So imagine, and we're not going to give you this one just yet because I don't want to ruin it. So it's a map, a blown up map of this area here, of what it actually looks like, okay? And let's just pull something out. I've got another visual aid for you that'll be fun to check out, if I can get it. Give me just a second here. Nope, I don't have that ready. Okay, we'll skip that for now. But let's just go back to this. So she finds a map, and this map that they find is a zoomed-in view that talks about all the different caverns and the entrance and how it appears where there's guards. Over here is a meeting area, and this area here, there's a bunch of enemies. One area is marked as don't go down this passageway, and it shows how to get down to our lower levels. So it looks like you kind of come in from the south and go to the left side, and that's where some of the meeting rooms are for the other giants. There's symbols for other giants. So it kind of tips them off about when you end up getting here, go to the left side first. They glean that from that information. The rest of the stuff in here is a number of gems and some jewelry, 8 pieces of pearl. It looks like these is just loot that bounty that's been taken from their raids, just nothing to do with the abduction of the child because no money was taken. So they grab the map, they grab the letter. Let's get over here, let's check this area out. Frinjar comes over here and checks this wall. Let's just do a quick little roll for him. I'm just going to have him do a 3d6 unmodified against his dexterity, okay? Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's like, yeah, but what about this other stuff that's in the corner here? There's 2 swords. He actually puts his axes on his side, and he reaches down and grabs these 2 swords, and he pulls one in one hand and one in the other hand, and the swords start moving around and dancing, and they go, whoosh, and they just light up in flame almost immediately. And he's like, whoa, hang on. And then he can realize that the swords are speaking to him inside of his head. He's like, oh my goodness, these swords are alive. And Elfini's like, really? You should get rid of it. And the Druid says, you should stop playing with it. Stop playing with it. He's like, no, I can handle it. It's no big deal. I'm going to give him a little intelligence check to see how he handles that situation. So it's almost as if the swords are alive. They're not moving on their own volition, but it's strange. The sword is telepathically saying, hey, who are you? What are you doing grabbing me? So let's give him an intelligence check. Okay, that's fine. So he's got these 2 flaming swords in his hand. They're 2 long swords, and they are saying, oh, over here, go over this way. And the swords want to point like a divining rod, and they're pointing towards this chest. So he walks around, and Elfinisi stands back, and the Druid, and he walks this way, and they're almost like 2 divining rods. One of them's pointing at the chest as if it's saying, in here, it says, many shiny, many shiny. And he's like, what, the devil? And she's like, what is it talking to you? I don't hear anything. He says, I can hear its voice is talking to me. So he comes over here, and then the sword goes chink and just chunks down into the gold, and he pulls it up, and it pulls up a necklace with lots of gems on it. She's like, it likes gems. And he starts laughing. Oh, you got to be kidding me. A sword that likes gems. Now I've seen it all. Let's give it a little percentage check, see if anything happens here. Okay, 68. Everything's okay. So when Elfinisi comes up, the swords don't react in any kind of odd way. The Druid says, you should get rid of it. Stop playing with that stuff. It's magical. It's enchanted. It could betray you. And Mercedes like, those kind of weapons, I've heard about them before. It probably is just detecting gems. I wouldn't really worry about it. Why don't you bring it with us? He's like, well, I don't want it. You can take it. I'll take it then. So he hands her the 2 swords. And he doesn't really care. He's not really interested in that. And she looks over to Mercedes, and she goes, be careful with those things. Don't hurt yourself, because sometimes those weapons can betray you if they don't like you. She's like, believe me, nothing's going to betray me whatsoever. Let's do a quick little check of charisma between the 2 characters as they're having a little argument. So what we want to do here is whoever wins the check gets their way, okay? So Mercedes is never going to have any kind of confidence issue. So let's give her a check. Let's actually, you know what we're going to do it? We're going to do it at a disadvantage because one person's sharing their wisdom, the other person doesn't believe them and doesn't know what they're talking about. So let's give, this is Mercedes roll 17 or less. She's a 5. This is the Druid's roll. The Druid's charisma. This is a charisma roll for her. Hers is 15 or less. 1. In this situation, because this 1 is so low, it's not a situation where you can flub. I think she can be very, very convincing. Listen, these type of weapons, sometimes they favor good versus evil, or they're a favor if you don't bring them enough, you don't give them enough of what they want. These weapons want gems or whatever it is they want, detect things. If you don't satiate them, they may betray you and they may stab you or your allies. Mercedes like, well, how do I just get rid of it? And he's like, yeah, I think you should probably do that. So I think she's just going to take the swords, and she just takes them, slams it against the wall to break it, and then shatters the blade against the ground and throws it down the pit. And then she takes the other one, puts her foot on it, and just crushes it in half, snaps it, and throws it down the pit. And then she just runs and leaps over of her own bravado. Let's just give her a little quick roll for that. A 14, that's pretty easy for her. So she leaps over, and that's it. She's done with the room. These three look at each other. It's like, come on. This is an ongoing issue with Miss Bossy Boots, but it's okay. They dealt with it fine. Let's go check out this area. So Untold's got the map. He confers with Obscura, and then he comes over here, and let's make sure we got this other thing here checked here. So he's like, we're not done checking the room out. And she's like, well, I think we've seen what we wanted to see yet. She's, yeah, I never got a chance to open the chest. He said, well, go ahead and open it. Hurry up. Surely there's nothing else of merit in there. So she goes over there to open this chest, and let's give her her percentile roll to open this chest. And I think her open locks is also 77%. Remember, they always bash it. If you bash it, you take a chance of breaking the mechanism. An 87, so she can't open it. So Vrindra says, give me a shot. I'll pop that for you. I can't remember if he did this one already. He opens the lock easily. And inside this chest here is tons and tons of Electrum pieces. Now, they're not worth very much in the game. But one thing he does find, he says, wait a minute, there's another box inside of a box. So she's like, oh, come on, show it to me. And the druid steps back. He shows her this obsidian box. And the druid and Obscura come over and go, let me see that. And Obscura's like, do you mind if I come over and take a look at it? And he's like, sure, come on, or I could just throw you the box. He says, no, don't shake it. There could be something inside. It could explode. It could be a mimic or something. So he's like, well, okay, go ahead. So Obscura is actually going to try and take a running jump over the pit as well. And to do that for her, I'm just going to give her a good basic dex check. So her dexterity is only 12. So she rolls 12 equal or less. She makes the jump quite easily. It's not that big of a deal, but you could still slip, okay? 10 or less. 12 or less, excuse me. Easily done. That's a 7. So she's able to take a run and jump and leap over the pit, land on the other side. Down there are the two burning swords chatting to each other. He shows her this obsidian box, and she takes a look at it very, very carefully. And we're going to give her a disadvantage intelligence check. Now, her intelligence is really high at 18. So that she rolls a 19 or a 20, she fails. 17 is around the money. She says, this is a Drow adamantite box. Can you, she sets on the ground, I'm not going to touch it. It could be trapped. Can you check it for traps? And he's like, sure. And she stands back. She be careful because it could fill the whole room with gas or something. And Mercedes like, And the druid's like, Elphanesi's like, I'm not worried about that. And the druid's like, I'm not too worried about it, but I'm going to stand back here. She's like, let me get away from here first before you try opening it, because if you trigger the trap, it could release poison gas to the room. He's like, just trust me. I'm going to go ahead and open it. But Obscura's like, let me get out of the way first. And I think this is a point where Vrindra, I'm going to give him a quick charisma check. Does he do whatever he wants to do at a disadvantage? His charisma's only 12 or less, a 2. He goes ahead and starts fiddling with the mechanism to see if there's a trap. So he's really just going to do a find and remove traps check, okay? It's for him at 65%. 000, that's a 100. That's super, super low. If there was a trap, it would have gone off. So he's taken the box. Let's just use this little box here as an example. Imagine it being 3 times the size of this box. And it's sealed, and you can't open it. He's trying to get it, trying to wiggle it off and trying to get off, and goes like this. Maybe takes a dagger and slips it in here and breaks the seal and pulls it on the side. He knows there's something inside. You can hear it inside just like this, right? He gets ready to open like this, and it's like, oh shit! You know, he drops the box on the ground and busts open. So the box hits the ground and busts open. Inside is this long, black, threaded rope that looks kind of like this. I'm just going to draw this for you freehand, okay? So it's got this threaded rope design, but it's made out of a black linked together metal. It's not a worm, it's not an earthworm. And it's got this little jewel on the end, this little spider abdomen, with little spiders coming out, little spider legs coming out, and a little head here. And then every so often on it are these little spikes. And this is what it looks like just laying on the ground. So you got these little silver platinum spikes. And at this end is another one of these little spider abdomens with little things sticking out. Let's just take a picture of that with my phone. That'll be fun to share with some folks. So with a lot of these items like this, they have like sparkle bits coming off them, like particles. If it was a computer game, you'd be like, oh wow, check out the cool particles. And it hums. And the whole thing has this radiation of kind of like magical power to it. Now, you may have heard me say before, I'm not a huge fan of detect magic, because if someone does a detect magic, what the detect magic is like the hear noise check. If you cast detect magic, you can tell exactly what it would do. Like, oh, this one gives you more strength. This one makes you move faster. In this case, everyone can tell that it's actually magic. And here it is on the ground, right here, lying on the ground. Okay? And let's see, what details do we miss here? So you got this weird black chain with these silver little rings around it, laying like this. It's lying on the ground. So it looks like it's maybe about 12 inches long in total. So Vrenjar grabs a dagger, and he puts a dagger underneath it and lifts it up. And when he tries to lift it up, the thing kind of like wiggles and moves and slides back on the ground. And then it goes whoosh, and it makes this pattern. So when he touches it and sits on the ground, it ends up making this pattern, almost like a snake would. Have you ever seen like a worm or an animal that's lying on the ground, like biting its own tail? So this end here with this snake ends up biting, this loaf-like spider mandibles ends up biting and chewing into the mandibles of this end, and the two mandibles are linked in the middle, and it makes this infinity shape, thus the infinity chain. So he's looking at it. It's lying on the ground. It's in this crazy pattern. She's looking at it. She's looking at it. She's looking at it. He's looking at it. He's starting to wonder what's going on. What are you going to do? Okay? How do you decide what to do? This thing is alive. It's moved on its own. It's obviously a piece of Drow magic. Obscura says, we shouldn't touch it, but we need to take it with us. Can we put it back in the box? Put it back in the box. Can you lift it with the dagger and put it back in the box? He says, I can try. And Mercedes is like, But remember the letter. And she pulls the letter out. And she grabs it from Antola. But remember what the letter said. The letter said to use it. She said, but this thing is alive, sitting on the ground. How do you use something that's just sitting on the ground in front of you? Let me get that letter back up again. Here we go. I should put a marker for this one. Here it is. Use the infinity chain, right? This is what it looks like sitting on the ground. How are we going to use the infinity chain? I'm going to do a roll for Vrenjar, okay? Okay, Vrenjar. He's like, I'm not using anything. I don't care. I'm not touching that thing. That could be poisoned on the end of it. It doesn't look like it's poisoned, but I'm not. This could be magical. It could have magical poison. It could be full of liquid or something. It's dangerous. I don't want to touch it. The druid says, let me just see if I can speak with it. So the druid takes a step forward, and she starts winding up a quick little one-segment spell of animal friendship. And then she's like, cast animal friendship on this. And if these really are true spiders, something would happen. I'm going to give a saving throw to the chain, okay? If the chain rolls a 12 or higher, it saves. Okay, so she casts animal friendship. But for some reason, these are insects, but they're arachnids. But they're not really arachnids. They're magically enchanted jewelry. So for a moment, she feels like she could be friendly with this thing, but then it just fades away. It just fades away. It's like the symbology, the idea of the thing is very much like an arachnid, and it's alive and embodies the spirit of arachnid, but it's not an actual animal. So that doesn't work. Obscura takes a look at it. She thinks to herself, what could I possibly do with this thing? What could I do? She's like, I just don't. I could blind it, I could blind it so it can't see you. Maybe you can then pick it up and put it in the box. And Vrenjar's like, I'm not touching it. And he actually takes a step back. I'm not touching it. That thing's moving around. How do I know it's not going to bite you next? And Elphanesi's like, well, why don't we just pick it up? And he's like, no, you shouldn't pick it up. She goes, no, I'll just pick it up. And she reaches in with her bare hands and just grabs it and picks it up. She grabs it, lifts it back up. The whole thing comes uncoiled and just dangles on a string. She's like, here you go. Put it in your box. So he grabs the box off the ground. She lifts it up, and she slips it into the box, and she closes the box back. She goes, what's the big deal? And she hands it back to him. So Vrenjar here, I'm going to do a little charisma check for him. This is kind of like, are you embarrassed that your younger sister just made you look silly and overcautious? So if he rolls his charisma or less, he's okay with it. Okay, so he didn't roll his charisma. So Vrenjar's actually completely embarrassed by the situation, needs to kind of tough it up a little bit. Obscura's like, give the box to me, and I'll take care of it. And she's like, sure. So she hands the box back to her. So let's get back on this side. We can talk about what to do. Let's move down this next area before we decide what we're going to do, because this is part of the stuff that we found in the letter. We're not sure what we should do with it, and we don't even know how to use it yet, but I want to get it out of this area away from this stupid pit, and I don't want there to be any more tricks in that room. So everyone decides to move across. So everyone's just going to jump back over the pit, and it will systematically just make room for everyone to move around. Now remember, Obscura has gained an item. She's gained the Infinity Chain item, and then the Druid comes back over. The Elphanesi dumps in last. So everyone's here in the hallway, and listen, let's deal with this first. She's like, comes up, how does this thing open? And Vrenjar's like, here, let me show you how it opens. So he's already detected traps on once before. So he pushes it, gives it a twist, turns it, and this whole thing opens up and then swings in. And Tola's like, before we go marching around the rest of this place and get engaged in a bunch of other situations, we should have a quick conversation about what to do about this infinity chain. If the instructions later say use the infinity chain, that room looked like a private room. It was protected by a pit trap. This might be Chief Nosra's special chamber where he does communication. Said, yeah, but how do we know that was something not given to him a long time ago? What does use the infinity chain do? Did he use the infinity chain to charm someone, or to poison someone, or to kill someone? Did he use it to garrote someone? We don't know what it's used for. But the map says, and the letter says, to use the chain. And it's written to the hill giants, but it's written in Drow language. Like, I'm not convinced. So she's not convinced that they should do anything with it. And Vrinjar's like, I'm not touching it. No matter what happens, I'm not touching it again. And Elphanesi's like smirking. He's like, yeah, you won't touch anything because you're scared, you big wuss. And he's like, no, I'm not touching it. I'm not fooling around with any kind of spider junk. And Zalris is like, listen, let's just move forward and get to a point where we can stop, then we can figure out what to do. Obviously, we found this magic item tied to the letter, but for now, let's just keep going and see what else we can find. Maybe we can discover where other clues that actually show us proof that the child was here. We found no proof whatsoever that the child's been here. They all agree, and they all open this door, and they step into this next room. So we're going to switch maps for you real quick. Okay? Be right back. Let's get these off the dice, off the table. And what we'll be able to do is slide that away. And we'll get a little snap of this. There you go. Now the best way to do this is to clear this off. It's gone forever. We're going to keep things pointed to the north. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull that out of the way because I don't need that room anymore. And we're going to move this over to here like this. And flip this open so you can see this room better. That's better. Can you see the full room or not? Let me take a look at the camera, see if I can adjust that for you. There we go. Somebody's remember big. All right, so where is everyone? A little bit too much light there. Let's pull that away. Okay, so everyone's down here. Vrinjar. Filtrina steps into this chamber. We'll have the druid here. And then Tola right next to her. Elphanesi's going to slip over here. And the room's got torches burning in it, so it's actually quite easy to see. Everyone just kind of walks into the room kind of normally, like this, no big deal. Now down here they have this horrible smell. And they're like, oh my goodness, good lord, what's that terrible smell? But in this room they find a bunch of interesting things. So we got this torch burning here, and a torch burning here. And it's all, this torch is being all drawn up towards like a hole in the ceiling. It's almost like, and at the ground here is this series of stones in a circle with a bunch of burnt ashes. And the druid zips over here and says, this is the campfire. People have camped out here. In fact, look at the ground. And then Tola comes and takes a look too. And so does Obscura. Elphanesi is going to check this area here. I'm going to give her a quick little check to see if she finds anything. I'm going to give her 65% or less. Okay, 52. So, and Vrinjar is doing the same thing. He's going to do a 5 and remove traps check in the area, or a search check. Same thing, 39. The moment he comes in, he goes, look, there's another one of these little secret doors right here. Easy as pie to see. And Mercedes like, oh, really? Don't open it just yet. Zalris comes into the room, a little slowly looks around. And I'm going to give Zalris a moment here. Let's give him a second. Let's give him a 3d6 check versus his intelligence. And let's get a sheet up. Don't want to slack off on the sheet switches for you. He's number 2. That's 10. He's like, someone camped here. And he like looks at the ground and says, listen, I've seen this before. There are marks on the ground where almost sleeping bags in the dust were, and then there's footprints all around here, and there's burnt sticks in here. So a party of 5, maybe 6 were here. And I'm going to give the druid a chance against her dexterity, not her wisdom, to build on what he said and see if she can tell what's happened here, because she can pass a trace, track animals, almost like a ranger. That's an easy roll. She knows exactly what happens. She says, I think the Drow party was here. I actually think that they were here, and I think they were meeting with Chief Nosra, because if you look right here, you can see here's a couple links from armor. Here's a couple links of armor where pieces have fallen off. Over here is some discarded little pieces of food. The torches have only been lit in the past 3 to 4 hours. these torches here had been snuffed and relit, and she could tell that the fire here was never ever engaging to a large blazing fire, which is a small little couple logs burning. So she's convinced that a Drow party camped here in this room, but kept it as dark as possible. Now, just about the time that that's all going on, and they're having this conversation, they hear this groaning and roaring and this man-like talking sound emanating from this area here. And then everyone's like, whoa. So let's roll for initiative right off the bat. Here's the party. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And what's over here? So suddenly, out of nowhere, these manticores come slamming against a set of iron bars that are about here. And it really catches everyone kind of flat-footed. And they're up against the bars, and this room seems to go back this way somehow. And so I'm just going to draw these like this for a moment. Okay, so you have a big pair of manticores. There's like a lion with big bat wings. And they're slamming against the cage repeatedly, slamming against the cage repeatedly. They're not trying to shoot their spikes from their tails into the room, but they're just slamming against the cage. And the druid takes a look at them, and she knows these aren't animals, but she could tell that they're absolutely famished and starved looking, that they're just wild, almost gone insane from this point. So much abuse and so much neglect. Zalars comes over to here. The cleric gets ready to here. Obscura takes a step forward. Eliphanisi comes running over at high speed to see what's going on. She has a line of sight into this way. She can tell there's a room beyond. Vrinjar comes over here as well and prepares. He decides to hide in shadows. Actually, let's do his hide in shadows check really, really quickly. And they lost the initiative, but there's nothing able to enter the room. That's why I'm allowing this action to happen. There's an 81, and that's a complete failure for Vrinjar. So he can't hide in shadows, and he's not going to try to move silently. I want to have Eliphanisi just look. I don't have her do anything. And Mercedes comes over here and boldly stands directly in front of everything. So what I'm going to do, real quick, I'm just going to move this guys out of the way and get rid of these chicken scratches here so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So let's get everyone back in position. There we go. So these manticores keep slamming against the cage and try to do stuff. Now the druid's just going to step over here. Let's get these die out of the way. Obscura's over here. She's like, why would there be manticores kept at bay, chained up, inside and caged like this? They're almost dead. They look like they haven't been fed in a long time. And Antolis comes forward, and they just keep slamming against the cage. Like they just want to be fed. They don't even care. They know they can't reach you. Like they've learned over time that they can't ever reach you, so on across the cage. You know, and with Mercedes, look at the alignment. This is what something, when you're a DM, you need to pay attention to alignment. This party is mostly lawful neutral, okay? Lawful neutral. You've got a chaotic neutral. You've got a lawful neutral monk. You've got a neutral evil assassin. You've got pure neutral druid. You've got a lawful neutral cleric, and you've got another lawful neutral illusionist. So when you're playing, when you have characters that are neutral, right? They're not like, oh, how horrible, we should do something about it. Or they're not either like, ha, they can't defend themselves, kill it. They're just like, well, that ends up being the way that they were. That's just the way that it is. It's not my responsibility to do nothing. It's not my responsibility to do anything. I just observe it, and I see it, and I take it in. Now, from the lawful perspective, if these were people, they'd be very interested in freeing them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a whole party roll here as a disadvantage, and let's just make this a D20 roll, okay? If we roll 10 or higher, actually 11 to 20, means they're going to try to do something about these manticores, either open a door or go inside and try to kill them through the door and engage them and get rid of them and stop making noise. But if it's 10 or less, they're just going to ignore it for now. Okay, ready? Here's a roll. Okay, they're going to ignore the manticores. Now, Eliphanisi is interested in this, and the druid is interested in these magical creatures as well. So she's going to come over here with her little sister. And Mercedes is like, let's leave them for now. Let's go see what we can find about this Drow stuff. And then Tola and the illusionist and Vrinjar is going to, I did a whole party roll, remember? Vrinjar and Zalus are going to stay close to their siblings. And the manticores keep bashing and bashing and bashing against the cage. They finally start slowing down. She just, and the monk is going to try to do some communication. So she can speak with animals and plants. So she tries speaking to the manticores, but they're a monster. They're not really an animal, but they have an animal-like body. So every now and then when she speaks to them, they react as if you were found a stray dog and you start talking to the dog in a sweet voice, but the dog doesn't really understand what you're saying, but they don't really become soothed or anything. And the druid takes a look and thinks to herself, what could I do? What could I do to get these guys to stop making noise? And Obscura's like, listen, these guys are making way too much noise. I'm ending this right now. She's like, wait, what are you going to do? She says, let me just silence the area, and that way no one will hear any noise coming out of this aperture or this opening. She said, or if you want me to, I could just make us all invisible so they don't see us anymore. What do you want me to do? She's like, well, Why don't you do something that makes them stop making noise? She's like, okay. So she takes her fingers out and she starts casting a spell, says a couple words, and then suddenly this entire area is just engulfed in darkness. The moment it's engulfed in darkness, the grumbling and the rumbling goes blah, 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 and just fully, completely stops. So now no one, including you, can see anything beyond this black pitch, black hole of darkness. No vision can penetrate this barrier. So Mercedes back over here. She's with Antola. Listen, let's have a conversation about this. We've got this infinity chain. What should we do? She's like, I think we need to go check out what's back here. I think we need to check out. Listen, there's a secret passage here. At least let me go check that out. And Elf Nisi comes over here and says the same thing. The druid's still kind of watching this to see what's going on because he's very intrigued by this half animal, half man-like creature. Because these manticores, if you've never seen one before, they have this, imagine having a big Viking beard, a big crazy dwarf mustache, and a big head with a big mane. But then you got this long, like, cat-like body with big cat haunches like this, right? This is and then they got this long tail, and at the end of the tail is all these quills. It's almost like something you have in a porcupine. So you get a big long tail that can whip around. You got the other foot over here. Big claws, big nasty claws, big person head. And then they have these big bat wings, right? Huge bat wings that come out like this with webbing. And the wings flap open and flap back. If they were out in the open air, they could fly around. So when they're jumping up against a cage and banging against the cage, they're going to be able to flap their wings. But they got these tails, and the tails can move around like a serpent, and you can shoot a bunch of spikes out of them. But they aren't doing that, and they don't see anything anymore. So if you've never seen a manticore before, I can't tell you which page is the monster manual, but that's what the manticores look like. They're nasty, especially if you've ever done White Plume Mountain. So, okay, I tell you what. Let's do this. Let's go check this passageway. Maybe it bypasses this manticores. Maybe they're guarding something else. Maybe there's actually a passageway out of here as opposed to this use infinity chain thing that we don't know what it is. So Vrindar comes over here. He's going to open that up quite easily. He detected it. He can see the mechanism. I'm going to give him a quick roll, see if anything bad happens. A 60, no, he's okay. So he opens this up. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift the map over, and I'm going to have him and Eliphanisi and Zalaris, since he's already here, and Mercedes and Tola over here. Obscura is going to be set here because she knows that darkness spell will drop eventually. They want to be out of the line of sight. So when it drops, everyone's trying to make sure that if you were a manticore and you're trying to peek around a corner, that they want to make sure they're in this region here so they can't see them anymore and try to keep things quiet. So let's just change the map real quick, and we'll be right back. Let's just get everybody off of here. Pull this out, and we'll clean this mess up. And let's find this next room for you. Give me half a second. You can stare at that for a moment and wonder what's inside. So, let's get this back out of the way. So there's this passageway. Let's put the secret door here. Okay? It's a 10-foot wide passageway, and it goes like this. And then it has a bunch of steps that go down, and then it flattens back out again. And it goes to a door. But the door kind of looks like one of these, like, not really a door type doors, almost like a panel. So Vrindar comes down to here. Eliphanisi's right on his trail. Here's Mercedes. And Tol's back in the previous room, along with Obscura and the druid. And Zalaris is right up in the front this time. Remember, he moved forward? And he tells them they found this door. And she's like, what do you hear? So he goes up to the door. We're going to do a move silently check right off the bat for him. So let's get his sheet back up real quick. So move silently. You can't hear noise. You have to move silently first very well, right? So 83% chance for him. That's a 30. Easy done. And then we're actually going to zoom the camera in a little bit for you so you can see this what's happening here. Actually, we won't mess with that. Let's just leave it like it is. And do I hear a noise check? At 87, remember, it's only 30% for him to identify the sound. But he says, I hear arguing. It sounds like orcs grumbling and making noises and arguing with a bunch of ogres or bugbears. It's like, can you open that? They're talking to each other. Can you open this quickly? And Eliphanisi's like, let me see if I can hear anything. Maybe I can tell how many of them there are. And he's like, sure, go ahead, try. 30% or less, remember? 50, no way. So both these are level 10. They both have the same numbers for all their thieving skills. She says the same thing. There's a bunch of humanoids in there, but I can't tell what they're talking about. But they're definitely arguing. It sounds like a bunch of them are in pain or wounded, and it sounds like a bunch of them are laughing at them and maybe like punching them and hitting them. But I can't tell. Maybe 10, maybe 20. I'd hate to say it, but maybe 20. But definitely not 5 or 6. Mercedes says, listen, let's just kick in the front door and go, and you guys get hidden and get ready to move out of the way and let me and Zollars go through first. So they're going to try to hide in shadows. There's no light in this room. I'm going to give them a 10% bonus to hide in shadows. 73. Her HS is 68. So even with the 10% bonus, that means she only needs a 78 or less. 70. So she makes it. He makes it. So he's concealed in shadows. She's concealed in shadows. They push this panel, and they pop this panel open, and it just swings in like this, and we're going to have to add our map to the scene. So the panel swings in. Everyone else is back up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch maps for you on the screen. That was transitional space wasn't worth mapping. And then we're going to have to roll for a surprise because something nasty is about to happen. Okay. Let's keep that north to the top for you. Here we go. Just about like that. Intrepid heroes that are sometimes impatient. So this is this panel here that we talked about. This is the secret door. So they push this door open. Mercedes comes barreling in. Rogue's assassin pops in hidden in shadows. She pops in hidden in shadows, and Zollars comes forward with this big glaive out. And hot on their heels is the rest of the party. But for right now, I'm just going to put the rest of the party just stacked like this. Okay, we'll just keep them stacked behind you. And let's tell you what we see in the room. So in the room, it's quite a mess. We have these 4 huge, massive stone pillars that go all the way up to the ceiling. The ceiling is like 50 foot. So imagine this big, massive, arched ceiling. Okay, and I'll erase this in a second. Big, massive arched ceiling with a hole that goes up somewhere. All the smoke is coming up to this dome. So if you look at it from the side view, it's almost like this big, arched ceiling with a big hole in the middle, and all the smoke is going up and out. Here's the side of the room. So it's 50 feet. Right, we'll clear that off. It's a big arched ceiling. You've got a bunch of bugbears and ringmail jackets with shields lingering over here, and one head bugbear sitting at the table, slamming the table and yelling. And then you have tons of orcs chained to these poles with manacles, with their feet manacled. And then you have a bunch of other nastiness going on. So let's just systematically give you got a bunch of orcs chained to with the manacles on their feet to these poles. And where's our rest of our nasties? Here we go. Here they are over here. And it's almost like a scene from the Planet of the Apes. And then right when he steps into the room, hidden in shadows, there's right next to him is there's 3 orcs in this cage, and then there's 3 in this, and this is just like a typical circus cage, like bend bars, lift gates type situation. There's orcs in cages. They're all beat up and bloodied. Some of them are lying on the ground. Some are banging and shaking against the chains. Very, very noisy situation. You got an orc here and an orc here, hung from a huge, massive cantilevered timber rod. Both of them are dead, just dangling. These guys here on the ground directly in front of them, they're manacled to these. This is the bugbear guy. He's got more bugbear buddies with him. We're just going to turn all these portraits so that you can see them. Like this. He's got buddies here, and there's 2 more dudes in the back here, standing guard. And then we've got more nasty orcs in cage here. We've got 3 corpses here, and a corpse over here. And lastly, we have this super meanie guy standing right here, huge hill giant. This guy's massive, and the door behind him is opened. So this door is open like this, and you can see into a room that's lit by torchlight, but you can't tell what it is. And this is a corridor that just seems to kind of go off that way, like that. So this is a really tricky situation. This may take a little while, but it'll be fun. And this will be the last room that we'll do for the night, for the day. Because he's hiding in shadows in complete darkness and enters into a room where the back of the secret door was a torch, and right next to these orcs, I'm going to give him a 20% chance to completely fail that move, hide in shadows check. So for Verinjar and for Mercedes, it's 68%. So he's got to roll 58 or less. Okay, that's a 0004. So he's so good at it, he can just stealth into here. So I'm going to allow him to move to here, to stay behind this pillar and conceal himself. These 2 are completely open in the open. She hidden in shadow as well. Let's make her re-roll because she's entering into a lighted environment. So these are all torches. All these are torches. All these torches are lit too. And all the smoke is all over the place. Really nasty. And it stinks in here really bad. So all these orcs here are like struggling against their chains and trying to get loose. Some of the orcs that make it have been on the ground dead for like maybe an hour or two. This bugbear here thinks he's the badass. This one big hill giant's walk around smacking this guy, hitting this one that's swinging from like a noose with this big heavy club, and he's got a big battle axe on his back. So he's just using a club he lifted, and the bugbears are like laughing and making fun. It's almost like these guys are taunting these orcs as they're systematically being brought forward, tortured, hung, and killed in sport. Okay, that's what seems to be going on. So not a very nice group to bump into. But before we do anything else with let's give Mercedes her roll. Okay, I don't believe I did it yet. 77. So she thinks she's hidden in shadows. So this, looks like a little girl comes zipping along here. Let's just roll for an initiative check. Now, how does everyone react to this? I'm just going to do a complete roll for bad side, which is this massive hill giant and these bugbears. I'm not going to do a roll for any of the orcs at all because they're already shanging and banging against the cages. They're already alert. They may see them, but they won't make any different sounds. They won't point to help them go, look, there's a bunch of people in armor. They would never do that. So here's the baddie roll. Okay, oh, that's pretty nasty. That's a 14. That's going to be hard to beat for the party. Hard to beat that. Nope. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 3 is 12. 14 versus 12. We'll just leave these over here on the sideline for you. So what does that mean? You got our assassins hidden in shadows. These guys win the initiative. I'm going to give them a reaction first. This bugbear pushes his chair out of the way and grabs his Morningstar and says, hey, look, there's intruders. Now what would he see? He's not seeing the assassin. He's just going to be able to see through the orcs, some of them sitting down, orcs, that sound like Gollum. He can see these two, and he can see her. So he sees 3, and they see doesn't see really the rest of the group behind here, okay? And the reason why that's happening is because there's a big pillar in the way. There's a huge column. This guy doesn't see anything. He would just see her and him, so he could confidently start rushing forward. Now, the hill giants don't have the same movement rate as a regular character, but they won the initiative, but he's not surprised, but he's going to come running forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to be right here, got his weapon, takes his battle axe off his back, throws the club to the side, hits this orc in the side of the head, and he's going to rush forward. His goal is to engage these two in combat, okay? These bugbears, okay, not hobgoblins, bugbears, start rushing forward and filtering through the poles to come meet these guys. They have a little bit higher movement rate. He pushes the chair away, grabs his weapon, and come filtering through the poles to come get themselves in a position, stepping on top of these corpses to engage in melee with this front group here. And let's put this guy right here, and this guy rushes forward to go straight for the girl, okay? So we had these two are going to bang into each other. These 3 are engaged in combat, and they got here before him. He's concealed in shadows, though, so you know he's going to try to do. The moment this starts happening, the druid zips into the room. The cleric pushes his way into the room to support, and Obscura takes a look and stands in the doorway and sees what's going on and starts quickly think about what she should do. And these 2 guards here are going to flank back around like this. I'm going to give these 2 guys a quick little check here against their intelligence. They need to roll 8 or less on 3d6. Okay? That intelligence tells them to stay back, and if things go bad, go get help. So they're not going to engage in the fight. Right. So let's get our DM guide out here and do the bugbear combat against Zolorus and Mercedes. And we're going to go ahead and get Zolorus up first. He's number 2 in the party. Number 1, but number 2. Okay, there we go. Now, these bugbears, they're only hit dice 3, and they're AC 5. They hit AC 0, they need a 16. So to hit Zolorus, they're going to need a 17. Let's just do it this way. We'll call it bugbears. Need a 17. And this other guy, who's really Mr. Nasty, he's a much more elite version of your run-of-the-mill hill giant. In fact, he's even got a special name, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check my DM book here real quick. I made notes for this ahead of time. Orcs and bugbears. The Keeper. So his hit AC 0 is 12. So the Keeper's nasty. He's wearing armor and everything. He's got a big 2-handed battle axe. Very nasty weapon. So let's do the bugbears first. They need a 17 to hit. Actually, let's just do it this way. Let's do it this way. They just need a THAC0 of 16. Let's just put that on the board as a reference point in case I forget. Okay? So called bugbear 16 Thecko. That way I need to keep track of that once, and his, we know what his is going to be too. All right, let's roll to hit. Let's see what happens. So to hit Zolorus, it needs 17 or higher. That's a 17 even. The weapon on the bugbears are using Morning Stars. I'm just going to do this as a 1d8 damage, not 2d4 or anything like that. So 1d8 damage, that's 2 on Zolorus. I'll make a note of that separately. I'll put this over here on the side. He's -2. And then that means he's taking his attack just in time for this guy to come with his two-handed battle axe and take a swing at him. So the Keeper, what does he need? So the Keeper to hit AC 0 needs a 12. Okay, that's pretty nasty. So for him to hit -1, he needs a 13 or higher. So let's get his roll here. We'll use this die. At 16, that's a great hit. It's 2d8 damage on Zolorus as well from the flank. 4 and 7 is 11. So the 11 plus it's also a +3 weapon. So that's 14 damage minus the 2. Means Zolorus takes a total of -16. But remember, Zolorus is 156. That's less than 10%. That's about 10% of his total life. So he's not in bad shape just yet. And this guy here's going to take a swipe at Mercedes, who's got her two-handed ready, and she's defending. She's not flat-footed or anything weird like that. So she's going to get her chance to defend herself. And they need a 16 to hit AC 0. Excuse me. And she's, nope, not Elfanisi. She's the top number 1. -2. They need an 18 to hit her. Okay. A 10. That's a complete miss. They're going to get their return attack, but I'm going to give Vrenjar a chance to do something after I resolve the fight with Elfanisi. Now remember, Elfanisi, even though she's a monk and she's nasty, she's crap armor. I would call it crap. AC 0. So he only needs a 16 to hit her. And 19. So he hits her easily with 1d8. Oh, it's only 2. And we're going to call this Elfanisi. She's down by 2. All right. So our team gets return fire, and our team gets to move. Everyone else has got a chance to move, and we'll just keep going this pattern. We won't keep rolling for initiative over and over and over. Everyone's engaged in melee now or doing an action. So it's our turn. Vrenjar's hidden shadows. He's going to come from behind and try to backstab the Keeper. So the Keeper is a armor class 3. So let's just get Vrenjar up. This is when being an assassin is a lot of fun. You get to do exactly what you're designed to do. He only needs a 12 normally to hit AC 0. You're going to give him a bonus of 2 because this guy, bonus of 3 because this guy's AC 3. Okay, so that's going to mean 9 or higher with the main hand and the offhand. And if you remember in the other episodes, I used the red one for his main hand because it gets a -2 penalty, and I just use whatever I happen to grab for the offhand. Now remember, backstab damage for Vrenjar. Look at his sheet. Okay. A level 10 assassin, this is a large opponent, so he's going to do 1d8 plus 6. He does a quad damage on a backstab. Okay, see where it says thief abilities, pickpockets, open locks, find or move traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls, quad surprise backstab. So 9. This die gets 2 taken off of it. A natural 20. So that's going to be nasty. But that gets 2 taken off it, but I'm still going to give the double damage bonus. And he needs 9 or higher on this offhand and a 14. This is going to be nasty. So let's do the main hand damage doubled first before we do anything else. So 1d8. Oh my goodness. 1d8 plus 6. This is 14. It's doubled for 28. And we're going to take that and multiply that times 4. Is that nasty or what? Do we need a calculator for that math, or can we just do it the old school way? What's 28 times 4? 8 times 4 is 32. Carry the 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Oh my goodness, this guy is dead. One-shotted. Completely obliterated. Now, if that doesn't make an assassin grin at night, I don't know what will. He just comes up from behind with his two axes. The first axe severs the guy's rear of his spine, and as he's crumpling, losing his balance, just takes his head completely off. So I'm sorry, the Keeper, who's one of the nastiest guys at this level, he just got blown open by Vrenjar. Very gratifying. Zolorus gets a chance to attack as well. Okay. This guy's not dead. What was he flipped over for? Zolorus gets a chance to attack. He's going to take a step here. Mercedes is going to take a step as well. This guy's going to step forward. He's going to attack the first bugbear directly in front of him. So let's just get Zolorus' damage up here. 28 times 4, huh? That's nasty. To hit AC 0, you need a 6. These bugbear guys are AC 5. So basically a 1. A 1 is just a flub miss. A 9 easily hits. Damage on the bugbears, they aren't large. I call them, they're they're small. So it's 1d8 plus 1 plus another d8. So 1d8 plus 1 is 6, plus the fire damage of 1 to 4. 6 to 4 is 10. These guys have 25 health each. And they're going to take an additional 1d8 burning damage for 3 rounds after being struck. Every time you strike again with the burning glaive, it just reignites and recontinues the counter. So the counter just keeps going and going and going. So let me just not jot that damage down over here, just to keep things honest. Oops. That puts him down to 10. Okay. Now, let's give Mercedes a swipe against this guy. There's no 2 targets directly in front of her, so she can't do the sweeping 2-handed move like you see us do sometimes. And just put these over here. She's only going to miss on a 1 as well. So she's going to take a 2-handed overhand swing as hard as possible, try to cleave this guy from the collarbone down. A 3. It's a good hit. It's not a perfect hit, but it's a good, solid hit. And she's going to do a small, medium, it's 1d10 plus 5 damage. So for her, 5 and 5 is 10. That puts that guy down to 15. The keeper got one-shotted. That's hilarious. Hey, you, check out that noise. Dead. All right. So this guy's damaged. This guy's damaged. This guy can't really do anything because not enough room to slip by. But these are 5-foot squares. I'm going to give him a chance to move between. And I'm going to have him go after Zalas because his teammate already hit Zalas once. So next round, she can take a step to try to block that. But Elefanisi gets her attack on this guy over here. Remember, she's dual-wielding monk to open fist attack. Even though she has a staff on her back, her nastiness is the stun. So to hit AC 0, she only needs a 14. These guys are AC 5, so she needs 5 less than that. So she needs a 9 or higher. Okay, there's no offhand, main hand, offhand dual-wielding penalty. So a 9 or higher, 5 it's a miss, and a 12. Remember the rule with the monk? I hate to keep repeating it all the time. 5 or higher on your base roll, and you get a stun. So she stuns this guy. Let me just pull that up for you real quick here. If you've seen the previous episodes, you know I always like to bring this to attention because it's a rule that doesn't appear in Pathfinder or anything else, to my knowledge. And it's very important to understand how it works. And it's one thing that makes a monk worth playing. If you're not playing a monk that way, you're not playing it right. Let me get my hands on this thing. Let's see, where is it in here? I'll just pull this out so you can see it. Cloakroom, Young Giants. Here we go. Here we go. So, down here, monk. 1d6 rounds of stun, so we're going to do that right off the bat. Okay, it's not rounds for me, it's segments because there's active combat. So a 6-second stun, which is like something from Dark Age of Camelot. 5 or more, then she gets a percentage chance to also kill it, which is based on the enemy's armor class plus 3%. So there's an 8% chance this target is completely just flattened and dead on the spot. Okay, 8% or less. 24, that's pretty close. He's stunned. When somebody's stunned, they can't fight back, but he may live through the damage she might do. But I'm going to give her main hand and offhand damage right off the bat. Now, this is something I was thinking about the other day. I was driving home from work, and I was like, wait a minute. Her damage is 3 to 13. That's 1d10 plus 2. That would give you 3 to 12. And you could just do it 1d10 plus 3 and keep it even. Then it's 3 to 13. So that's what I like to do. I'm going to keep it just 1d10. We're going to do it twice. Plus 3. Okay? 8 plus 3 is 11. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9, 11, that's an even 20. The guy's stunned. He has 5 health left. She's just going to go ahead and give him a kick to the throat, and he's dead. All right, so these other characters in our party haven't done anything. These guys will get to move next. Let's let the druid do something first. If you're the druid in your situation, what are you going to do? There doesn't really seem to be any major threat, and this nasty blasting one shot from behind for Varenjar, I think the druid's going to move forward here to engage these guys with her scimitar out. She's going to run forward the scimitar. Let's see if these guys morale break or if they just go. After seeing this guy drop, they're probably like, what the? You know, they're freaked out. So let's do it as a 3d6 roll, okay? If we roll, how smart do you think a bugbear is? 7 intelligence? 7 or less on 3d6. Nope. This guy's going to try to flee. So this is a pass without trace, lightly armored druid. I'm going to give her a free swing at this guy's back as he tries to run down the hallway. So she's going to sprint after him and just take a swing at him from behind. And so I think after all the anger that's been built up from seeing all these slaughtered animals in the facility, I think she wants to skewer this guy and take his head off. I don't usually let players do a call shot in this kind of situation. Like, I'm going to try to take his head off, but if she rolls, I'm going to give her an 18 or higher and she cleaves this guy's head off. So to hit AC 0, she needs a 12. To hit AC 5, we give her a bonus of 5. So that would put us at what? 8, right? 8 or higher. I'm going to give her a bonus to hit him from behind because he's flat-footed. A 6 or higher, she hits him. 17 or higher, that's a head gone. Okay, so she hits him, does damage, but doesn't cleave him. What's her damage? It's only 1d8 plus 2. Not a lot of damage. Not a lot of damage. 6, 7, 8. We're going to mark that in the book. The guy's damaged, but he's not dead. He's about halved. Halved. Let's go ahead and put this over here. The Infinity Chain episode. Here we go. Bugbear time. That's number 5. What did she roll? 6, 7, 8. 8 from 25. That puts this guy down to 17. So he's not quite halved. I was wrong. What's he got to do? I'm going to say that he morale broke as well. He would have gone the same direction as his buddy, but this dead orc hanging down from the gallows is in the way. So he's actually going to go down here. He knows what's down here, but I'm going to have him go this way, right? And then realize that she's chasing after him, and then decide to go down this way as far as he can. So let's do a movement rate on that. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I give him 8 steps because no one's engaging him and no one's stopping him, okay? So he's that far away. He's going to bolt and try to raise more buddies. And he knows there's buddies here, and he knows what's here, and he knows what's here. This is the best way to get friends. Okay. Now, what's Obscura done? I'm just going to have her move forward to here. Vrinjar's recovered from the attack. What's Antolo going to do? Antolo's going to run over here. Elephanisi can do something. 24 movement rate. Now remember the movement rules in the game. That's 240 feet in 10 segments, which is 60 seconds. Okay? 240 feet in 60 seconds. Divide that by 10. 24 feet in 6 seconds. So she takes like 6. I can't do the math out loud. She gets her movement is going to be like 6 or 7 feet really, really quickly. So I'm going to have her come to here and start working towards intercepting him. Let me make sure I do that math absolutely correctly. So it's 240 feet in 1 minute. Divide that by 10 is 24 in 6 seconds. So it's 4 feet per second. 4 feet per second. I could figure out the math to tell me miles per hour that is. So that's pretty fast. Everyone else moves at half that movement. They go at 2 feet per second. That's considered in combat, not just flat out running. Now she's not engaged in combat. How far do you think she could move? Let's give her 6 steps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll put her there. I gave him 8. I'm going to take 2 away because it wasn't fair to give him 8. All right, so let's. I want her to intercept him, but I still want to keep it legit. I don't want to cheat too much. Right? She's a monk. She should easily be able to cut him off. Antolo's here. He's looking for threats. He's actually going to just move to here and look down this corridor for threats. Obscura is going to move forward to here. What is Vrinjar going to do? He's just going to plow through this area here and see if there's anything else. And the druid's going to continue to chase this guy down the hallway. Vrinjar can't catch this. The druid's actually going to pull up and cast a spell. So let's just do a quick little initiative check. Actually, so continue the combat going with this group over here. All right, so these guys get to attack. There's 2 of them going to be attacking Zolaris. Zolaris says these guys need a... Zolaris is -1 if I'm not mistaken. They need a 16 to hit AC 0. They need 17s to hit him, okay? So I'm going to roll 2 20s at once. A 7 and a 1, which is a complete flub. I'll make the second guy swing and get himself out of position and fall through and maybe stumble. Let's give him a 10 or less on a D10 to maintain balance. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's okay. He maintains his balance. He just takes a step forward. This guy here completely misses. Mercedes just going to go ahead and shrugs to the right, and she's going to take a swing at this guy and just nail him, okay? Actually, let's do Zolaris' attack first. So what does Zolaris need to hit this AC? So he needs a 1. Both of these fighters need only a 1 to hit. Okay, that's still a hit. 1d10, if I'm not mistaken. Small, medium is 2d8 plus 1. Yeah, 1d8 plus 5. And then plus, let's get the dice out here. Here we go. Where's our 8 side? Oh, here it is over here. Okay, 1d8 plus 5. That's 12. And then the fire damage again. 4. That's 16. This is the guy that he damaged earlier. And this guy was at 10, and he's dead. Okay, so this guy is dead completely. Now, let's give this guy a chance on Mercedes. Did I already do that? Let's give it to him again anyway, because he's probably not going to nail it. I'm going to give him another chance to hit Mercedes. Because her shrug defensive move, this guy took a step past. An 18. Does that hit? Does that hit? These guys need a 16 to hit AC 0. What does he need to hit her? She's -2. So that's barely enough to hit her, right? 16, 17, 18. Yep, they hit her. He hits her. 1d8 damage. First time she's been hit in a long time. Mercedes has a lot of health, though, so -3 is nothing to worry about. All right. This guy here is out of position. He completely missed. I'm going to have Mercedes take her swipe at this guy. Two-handed weapon, overhead cleave one more time. Only miss on a 1. There's a 9. I believe it's 1d10 for her. 1d10 plus 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. Let's check this guy's health. He's at 15. I'm going to call him dead because there's too much damage. He's completely stunned and bleeding to death, and he would just stand there. So she finishes him off. So she's going to be on top of his corpse. He takes a step forward to the top of this corpse. Let's do a morale check for this guy. Okay? 6 or less. It's getting low morale. No way. This guy breaks. He tries to run up the stairs. Obscura doesn't see that happening. He's over here. Let's do the druid and this over here, and then we'll come back to the chase to the football field, trying to tackle someone for to get to the end zone over here. That should be fun. So let's get the druid another swipe at this guy from behind, but I want her to pull up and cast Entangle. So when she pulls up, this guy runs down the hallway. She pulls up to cast Entangle. He's going to get a saving throw. Let me just check my DM screen here. And saving throws for baddies. We save as a fighter. He's going to be a level 3 fighter. He's going to save versus spell, which is 16. Let me just show that to you so you believe me. I want you to know I'm a legit guy. I don't cheat. So you see that save versus spell as a fighter? He's a 16. This is it. This is it right here. Okay? I always pretend there's a fighter. It's not a magic user or anything. 16 or higher to resist the Entangle spell. A 2. So he's entangled and can't move and rooted in place. She's going to get a free swing on him flat-footed. This gives Renjar a chance to come in and close the gap as well. I'm going to give her 2 swings and 2 damage rolls. Those are 2 easy shots. Just a bam, bam, left and right with the scimitars. Let's get her sheet up real quick. 1d8 plus 2. Add 2 to each of these. 5, 6, 7. 3, 7, 3, 10. 10 damage. He's wounded. He's wounded. Wait till Renjar gets a hold of him. Puts him down to 7. Renjar comes in, takes a step. Both axes. Overhead cleaves to make sure you don't swing wide and hit your comrade to your side. No side sweep. I think players should do that. Players should always describe what kind of attack they're doing. If you start swinging your axe, you say, I swing my axe. That's not enough information. Tell me what type of swing you're doing. So I know you're doing something intelligent. You're taking the combat into consideration. And we're going to pull this over so you can actually see what's going on. You couldn't miss it. You missed it. So this goes down. This is the hallway. This guy is entangled, right? So just put little roots around him. It's like an EverQuest 1 if you're a druid casting a root on something. Renjar's going to get 2 attacks. This guy's AC 5. He only needs a 12. That would be a natural 7 or higher. But since he's entangled, he can't actively defend and take steps. I'm on 6 or higher. Let's do the main hand with the red die as always. Take 2 from this. That's still a hit. And 8. That's still a hit as well. And his damage is going to be 1d8 plus 6. Okay? On each of these is 1d8 plus 6. Later, dude. He's dead. There's no way you live through that. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I did some jostling of position. Going to have to figure out the math on the movement rate here in the segment system a little bit better. So how are we going to do this? Bugbear movement rate. Okay? It's 8. Movement rate of her, 24. That is a 3-to-1 ratio of movement. So if he goes, he takes 1, 1, 2, 3. She takes 3. He takes 1, 1, 2, and 3. He takes 1. She's right in front of him. So that's how I'd want to do that. Now that whole movement there, let's say that took 12 seconds. Or 6 seconds. That one segment is this amount of time it took for her to get the entangle off, run forward and go whoosh whoosh with her scimitar, and for him to come up and take his 2 actions and go wham and just kill this thing. That's enough time for Obscura to go 1, 2, 3, and maybe duck underneath his corpse here and take a look at what's going on down here. That's enough time for Zalrus to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and move to here past these orcs who are totally terrified and staying back. He's pushing his way through. That's enough time for Mercedes to come here and take a swipe and just slash these 2 orcs to death. They can't even move and fight back. I'm going to have her swipe these guys and kill them completely. Zalrus is more interested in getting to his allies, and Antola gives him a chance to come here and look down this hallway and see if there's more reinforcements. So Antola is just looking down this hallway. So we just do it this way so you can see better. There you go. These 2 are going to rejoin their comrades, come back into the room. So now let's do the combat here, right? Bugbear versus Monk in the hallway. Let's give initiative roll. It's almost like she stepped right in front of him. He's running for the door. He's running for the door. She steps right in front of him, and he's like, whoa. So let's give them both a fair initiative roll. Whoops. Let's do the monsters as black dice. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, she might lose this one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versus 11. So here's how I'm going to rule on this. She steps in front, ready to stop him, open hands, both hands ready, like a character from Mortal Kombat. He's like, ugh. He's like slips right past her and goes right by. Now, in second edition, it'd be an attack of opportunity. Because it's like a heroic run, sprinting, football, intercept thing, I'm actually going to have him take an additional step and get out of range. And I'm actually going to have her have to take a step to follow him and take a swing from behind and just drop his armor class down. So I'm going to give her a free hit at him, but it's just going to be a reduction to his armor class. He's not actively defending with the shield. So let's just go ahead and do her attack. She might get a stun off. She gets a stun off, he's dead meat. So to hit AC 0, she needs a 14. So give her a 5 bonus would mean she normally would need a 9 or higher to go boom boom with each hand. But this guy, I'm going to take his armor away, and we can take away 2. She needs a 7 or higher on these 2 dice here. That's an unlucky one. Let's use the one that's lucky. Let's use the purple and blue. 7 or higher. A 5 and an 8. Only the 8 hits. So that means 3 to 13, which is 1d10 plus 1d10 plus 3. 6, 7, 8, 9. This guy's not been damaged. It damages him from behind. He gets to the door. She's in pursuit of him. Let me just jot the damage down real quick before I lose track of it. 25 minus 9 is 16. He's at 16 health left. Obscura is right here. I mean, she should be confident. They're not from the same world. This is an illusionist from Ket. She's going to save her really nasty stuff, okay? She has a lot of nasty things at her disposal. I mean, just look at her spells. Color Spray, Darkness, Phantasmal Force, Hypnotic Pattern, Blindness, Invisibility. She already blew Darkness earlier. Paralyzation, Spectral Force, Phantasmal Killer, Shadow Monsters. I mean, in Chaos, what would you do if you were her? Elefanice's been screwing up a lot. Should we roll a die and see what she does? Does she try to stop this with a Hypnotic Pattern or a Blindness? I think she could do the Blindness. Let's make it fair. Let's let the dice tell us what she does. Let's do a good old-fashioned gamma roll style, boot hill style percentage check. Okay, where's my other blue-red? There it is here. Okay, what do you think? What do you think? If you're in a chat channel, I'd have you vote for it. With this range, and she could just look at the bugbear and cast Blindness on it. That means he won't be able to see the door. He won't see what's going on, and I'll take his armor class almost completely away, and Elfanice will stun him. So, what do you think? What do you think? How could she pull that off? Would it be 50% chance to get that off in time? She's pretty good. She's 18 intelligence. Her dexterity is 16. Technically, you should do an initiative roll. Technically. How do you do an initiative roll for someone that's not aware that someone else is casting against him? He's trying to put his effort into evading her. I'm going to have this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give an initiative roll of a flat initiative roll. And I'm going to give her a -2, okay? And we'll just do a dice check. 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, and there's the 7. There's the -2. So it's even, dead even. I'm going to say the spell gets off. So she's able to cast Blindness, and the bugbear is going to slam into the wall because he can't see where he's going because he's booking it at high speed trying to get past a little girl monk. Let's give him a dexterity check. Let's say these guys have 10 dex. Let's just make him more dexterous than the regular run-of-the-mill bugbear. If he rolls 10 or less on 3d6, he doesn't stumble and fall, but he bangs against the door. We're going to give Elefanice 2 easy, guaranteed hits. There's not even way to defend. He hits the door, he turns around, she just goes boom, boom, and that means 2 stuns. So let's make sure we have to roll 5 or higher. Let's make her roll a 4 or higher, okay? You got to be fair. Some of these rules, you got to judge them, though, right? So she would normally need a 14 to hit him. To AC 0, she need a 14. To AC 5, she need a 9. There's no shield, take away armor class. You need a 4. He's blind and not defending himself and completely flat-footed. She needs a 2, okay? If she rolls a 7 or higher in either one of these dice, this guy's stunned. There's an 18 and 15, the guy's stunned. That's a total of 2d6. Game over. 2, 3 times 6 seconds. 18 seconds of stun. He's dead. She just take her staff off and just jam it in his throat and kill him. Nasty, nasty, nasty. If you ever played EverQuest and 1 in the old days, social mobs, we used to call it, they used to run. There'd be runners. And you'd have to have your druid snare stuff to keep them from running and waking up the rest of the Black Burrow. And sometimes those kind of situations I think are tons of fun in D&D. Take things you have experiences in other games and other MMOs and things like that and bring them to life and inject them into your D&D game. So, like Bossy Boots wanted to have happen a long time ago, everything's dead. Okay, So where we are, we just wiped this room up. I'm going to do a roll in the background to see what was down here. Did they hear anything when he slammed into the door? You probably would hear some cries of pain. This guy got killed so quickly. This baddie, what was his silly name again? He had this funny name. The Chamber of the Keeper, right? Here's a printed copy of it, right? So this guy right here. Let's see what it says just for a laugh, since he's totally. The Keeper is a ghastly hill giant, hunchback, twisted, and but one good eye. He's thoroughly wicked and evil and strong. Well, he's currently horizontal, so that's not really a problem. I bet when Gygax and Arneson guys were writing that sentence on their typewriters back in 1977, they think, yeah, that'll intimidate the party unless they have an assassin, and then the guy's gonna get blown up in one hit. That was a very heroic. I should give him an experience bonus for doing his thing for that, and I'm keeping track of that in the background. I don't know if you noticed, but in all the character sheets at the bottom, we all have their experience points. Let's just look at Vrinjar real quick. All their experience points are at the beginning of the level. So when they complete this module, they're going to get paid, because then there'll be a travel period, and then we'll see where their experience is and where they have time to train and get to the next level. All right, so he wiped all this out. She's going to sit here. He's going to come zipping over. She's going to come zipping over. He would be interested in what's in here. He's going to slip and look into this door. The druid's going to move here. Obscura is taking care of business. She feels confident. Zollars will be able to come over here, make sure she's okay. Mercedes is going to go here where Antola is, and everyone's just trying to look around. Everyone's like ready for, is there more coming? Is there more coming? Is there more coming? Let's just give the party a quick little initiative check here, okay? Okay, so the party has a decent little roll here. So everything seems stabilized. Let's do a hear noise check with Vrinjar. It's only 30%, remember? And let's do one with Eliphanesi as well. It's only 30%. Do you hear stuff? And what that check is this. I'm going to be absolutely quiet. I'm going to listen. And did anyone else in the area, beyond the doors, down hallways, did they seem to be coming? Okay, that's what she's trying to do. 30% or less. 73, she can't really tell. Oh, a 26. So he hears from this wing, nothing's coming. But he can tell there's some rattling, but he hears some grunting and snoring in this room. That's like the sound of monkeys sleeping. So he's going to reach for the door, and I'm going to have him slowly close the door and go click and close back close. Let's just give him a dex check for that. 17 or less, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's easy. So he closes this door back, and he can go tell his comrades that he thinks there's some monkeys or apes in this room. So that's click back close. In fact, he can probably take his dagger, just flinch the lock so it won't open. He's pretty confident, though, that the ghastly one came out of there. So let's get these dice out of your way so you can see better. All right. Time for a team meeting, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. So we're not really in the most secure area in the world, but what we are in is a situation where we can pause and move on to the next area for the next episode. Now, we discovered a lot of key pieces of information, and the party, just like the episode title itself says, they've discovered the Infinity Chain, but they're not sure what to do with it. And I think since they haven't found any real evidence in this area that shows where the child is, they're probably going to stick to the original plan, which is we need more information first. You remember they said that a few episodes ago? Once they had more information, they would decide what to do. Now, they also got information a couple of rooms back, if you saw. We were in this room here. I'll just pull the map up real quick. This is just to try to elaborate on, like, what were they thinking about doing. Do you remember this room here where there was a bunch of Drow campfire stuff set up here, and they went to the secret room back this way, and the manticores were behind the chain? So that makes you think that, like, okay, you had this room that had all the treasure where you got the Infinity Chain from, which was a secret passage, so it's concealed. That was the king's, the hill giant chief, Nosra was his name. That's his secret stash. If the Drow sent him anything important, gave him any instructions, he had it here. In fact, the fact that there were Drow in this big empty room with no hill giant decorations or stank or mugs or tankards or anything, the Drow were sleeping in this room for maybe a period of time. It could have been 24 hours ago, right? They found the Infinity Chain. That means the Drow would have left this Infinity Chain with the hill giant chief who thought it was safe in his chamber, and then they moved on somewhere. But where did they go? So where are they now? Are they still here, or did they use the Infinity Chain? Was the Infinity Chain clue something for the hill giant only to do another abduction, or to meet with Drow party in some other location? So the party decides to do this. They're going to leave all the corpses, and they're going to reconvene. They're going to go back into this room here. Remember, there was a trap door here. They know about it. They're going to go backtrack all the way back into this room here and come back into this room here, and they're going to camp for the night, okay? Not for the whole night, but get some rest. They've been going at it since after midnight in the sleet and in the rain. 6 episodes of carnage, an entire Great Hall done, get all the spells back recovered, maybe consider adjusting a couple of spells, and then maybe do some detect magic, some other information to see what they can figure out about this infinity chain, and then you're going to have a conference back in this room here and decide, okay, I think we're going to try activating this infinity chain, or we're going to go on and explore the rest of this area. So let's make that a decision. So at the end of the episode, it's always fun to have a cool decision being made. Now, how do we do this? We do charisma checks is what I like to do. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this other chicken scratch in the way anymore. So let's do it this way. Let me move the crew to the room. They would make this decision in this room. So they would come over here to this table. Here's Antola. These orcs are still alive. Let's just assume that they executed all of them. These guys are dead. I'm not going to make you roll for that. The guys can't defend themselves. They have like 7 health. These are putrid stinkers. This guy ran. Oh, they never dealt with him. Oh, he never dealt with this guy. Do you remember this guy here? Okay, I tell you what. Let's just do a quick little combat resolution. And even though it's not really on screen, let's just say that Mercedes and him went one-on-one in the hallway at the end of cleaning up the mess, and that Vrinjar joined in. And you know what? I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to roll it. Let's just leave it. To get that storyline done, this guy got cornered and killed, okay? And they didn't take any damage. Just leave it that way. I know it sounds like a cheat, but it's not. It's a bugbear of 3 hit dice. It's not that big of a deal. So they're all going to gather together here on the table, and they need to make a decision what to do. So what we're going to do, here's 2 options. Keep looking for the child, or go back and use the infinity chain in the room where they first found it. So let's do that as a charisma check for Mercedes. Let's get her up first. She's number 1 in the party. That means she believes in her argument. Her argument is continue to look for the child in this complex. Okay? 17 or less, and she believes in her convictions. 5 and 9, 12. She believes in her convictions. She implies that we should keep looking for the child. Until is often the tiebreaker for these. Now, with this information they discovered, between the assassin, he wasn't really keen on this infinity chain. So, and the druid is like, we need to be saving the child. And Eliphanesi is like, we need to be saving the child. And he's like, I'll do whatever my siblings say. Obscura and Tola would be the only ones that would be a counter to Mercedes' logic. So Obscura is one that understands magic items. And Antola knows how wise about how the Drow, what things are working. So let's put it this way. Let's do a charisma check for Antola. He says we should use the infinity chain. Obscura says we need more information. We don't have enough. The child can still be here. Remember, so we have 3 options. Let's do number 1. Option number 1. Option number 2. Option number 3 is, let's just call it the kill option, which is keep killing. Option number 2 is called go. And option number 3 is info. Okay? Let's move that down a little bit so you can see it better. 1 to kill, 2 to go, 3, 4, more info. Well, let's roll a charisma check for the the cleric. This means, is he convincingly making his argument? His charisma is 15. 15 or less on 3d6. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. So this is still, so Mercedes' option is an option. His option is go. And Obscura, let's do a charisma check for her. Because in many ways, charisma is just like a leadership check. It's not just how well you influence NPCs. 16 or less for her. Oh, that's a 16 even, so she barely makes some more info. So now we have a 33% tiebreaker. If you were there, if you were the druid, you're the smartest of the pack, probably. Would you interfere with this decision? Or would you have a say representing the tiger nomads? If you're playing the druid, you would probably you're the spellcaster, you're the smart one, you're the one that understands the way of the woods. Eliphanesi is just a young monk doing damage. Vrinjar is just a bloodthirsty bastard. The fighter just supports his siblings. The druid's voice would be the only voice of reason in the group, the most wise voice. Okay? What would she like? Kill everything? No, she wouldn't go for that. No, she wouldn't go for that. Go? Yeah, she'd go for that, and she might go for more info. So let's give her a 50% chance. A D20. 10 or less is go. 10 or higher, more info, excuse me. Okay, so the druid says, I say we go. So that's 2 votes for go. Now we need to do a tiebreaker. So let's do this. So we now have 2 people saying let's go. What do these 2 do? They all believed in what their own options were. She believed in an option. I'm told it's going to be a tiebreaker here. All right, so let's do it this way, and then we'll get this wrapped up. Let's do it as a percentile roll check, okay? I'm going to give this one, which has 2 votes to go. Let's say that each vote would normally be 30%. In fact, let's make them all 20%. So this is 20, 20, and 20, An extra 10 is 30. So 0 to 20 equals 1. 21 to 50 equals 2. And 51 to 70 equals 3. And 70 and higher is a stalemate. Okay? 71 or higher is a stalemate. Let's make sure that's clear. Let's do that one more time. That's chicken scratch. All right, so here's how we're going to do it. 0 to 20 is kill. Okay? 21 to 50 is go. 51 to 70 is search for information. And 71 and higher to 100 is huh? All right, percentile dice roll. Ready to go. Purple. A 2. So looks like Mercedes gets her way yet again. So this means wipe them out. Keep clearing, keep destroying, keep exploring. So with that type of a decision, okay, that means we're not going to go back to the chief's room, the chief's treasure room. We're not going to, which is this room here. We're not going to go back here and try to use the infinity chain or whatever it is. That we're going to keep it with us. Remember, Obscura has it in a box with her, and they're just going to rest for a few seconds and then fan out and start wiping out the next room. So what we'll do next time is we're going to have everyone jump in this room here where they hear the monkey sounds and just continue to work through the whole dungeon and just kill everything dead. All right, well, hope you had fun watching this episode. We're going to wrap it up. Don't forget Conor McGregor fights Khabib Nurmagomedov tonight, which will be a fun pay-per-view. And if you have any feedback or comments, be sure to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Or if you want to follow on Twitch, that lets you know when the episodes are airing live. I'm trying to do them at least 2 or 3 times a week when I can. We'll see how it goes. And if you have any suggestions about rulings or things like that, I'd love to hear what you think too. I hope you had a lot of fun, and we'll see what happens next as they continue to progress through the dungeon level of the studying of the Hill Giant Chief, with the goal being to kill them all in search of the missing prophetic child. Take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.